Zombie Apocalypse.
What is up, guys? It is Kenniron here, and as you can see, I have my Turtle Beach headset on. I wanted to see if that would help drown out the hum of my computer, or if it would help my voice sound better. So, I'll try it out, the little mic here. So, I wanted to do a review series of the Spider-Man movies. And this is all build up to the Spider-Man Homecoming film, which will be out in early July. Still not sure if I'm going to see that in theaters or not, but it is fun to dream. And so, without further ado, let's look at the first time we see Peter Parker and his web-swinging alter ego on the big screen. Spider-Man, the 2002 movie. First off, let's analyze the story. It derives straight from the comics. Peter Parker is a nerd and a loser in high school, but one day gets bitten by a genetically altered spider that genetically alters him to become Spider-Man. On his way to becoming a hero, Uncle Ben dies. Him and Harry Osborn, his best friend, compete for the affection of Mary Jane Watson, and Norman Osborn, Harry's father, becomes the Green Goblin and kills some people. Peter, now a full-time superhero, fights him a few times, and Norman figures out his true identity and goes after both Aunt May and Mary Jane. In a final battle, Spidey gets beaten down and to the brink of defeat when the tables turn and he starts beating Goblin down. Whoop-de-frickin-doo, did not see that ending coming, but in a final act of defiance, Norman sends the bladed glider barreling at Spider-Man, but his Spidey sense kicks in and Norman is killed instead. Or stabbed and killed instead. In the last scene, Harry vows to get revenge on Spider-Man, setting up for a sequel. Oh, and spoiler alert. The story, while deriving from the comics, stands out enough to be its own thing. The back-and-forth relationship between Peter and Norman is something I don't think we've seen in the comics, although I could be wrong. It's not overly convoluted, and it keeps everything important in main focus. They transition between all the characters really well, and I enjoy the whole story. Overall, I only found, two things wrong with it. First of all, Peter can't make a $20,000 costume. I mean, come on, that's ridiculous. And then second of all, why doesn't he immediately try to explain to Harry what happened to his father? How does Harry assume he killed him? I mean, what if Goblin killed him? That's technically true. What if Spidey's just trying to peacefully lay him to rest? I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, does he blame Spider-Man for simply letting him die instead of stopping his death? I don't know, but it sets up a drive for the sequel, so I guess it's forgivable. Character development is extremely important, and they definitely made sure not to leave anything out. They create great character webs, excuse the pun, between Peter, the Osborns, Mary Jane, and Aunt May. I would say Uncle Ben, but, he kind of dies before they can really get involved with Harry, Norman, and MJ. Wrong MJ, you fools! Anyway, Peter is a goody two-shoes, and he loves being a hero, but then he soon realizes it's not all fun and games, because people could actually die. All the while, his love for Miss Watson and bond with Harry and Norman strengthens. Mary Jane thinks she loves Harry, then switches to Spider-Man, then switches to Peter. Yeah, she's kind of a hoe. But Aunt May kind of stays sweet and occasionally stubborn old lady, and Norman runs a business and has to take drastic and aggressive measures that kind of turn him into the Green Goblin. His sinister nature is brought to life while he continues to keep his daily normal life going. And it's all explained in detail pretty well. It all fits together nicely while never taking away from the action or the story of the movie. Character design is also really good. Sure, Spider-Man's suit would take several thousands of dollars that Peter doesn't have to make, but it looks cool so no one cares. Because movie logic, people. It doesn't have to make sense. If it looks cool, it's acceptable. Just look at the Transformer movies. Anyway, Peter just wears whatever makes him look slightly nerdy without overselling it. Harry dresses nicely. MJ always has that trench coat, and fun fact, that's actually Kirsten Dunst's trench coat. She wanted to wear it, and the design team thought it looked kinda cool, so kabam. Aunt May looks old, Norman dresses a little fancier than Harry, but the Green Goblin is absolutely the best design in the whole movie. He's got this functional tech suit with this helmet that's like the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like, I really wish I had this costume. Not only does the Green Goblin have like a really cool suit, but he's also all around the neatest character. Willem Dafoe, or however you pronounce his name, does a phenomenal job bouncing between Norman and Gobby. Like, particularly in this scene. This is by far one of my favorite psychotic scenes in any movie. Like, it ranks up there with Heath Ledger's Joker. Moving on from my fangirlism, the action itself is really good as well. They do an amazing job showing Spider-Man crawling, jumping, flipping, and swinging. Now, keep in mind this is 2002, so some of the CGI looks a little cheesy, but most of it is pulled off extremely well. They combine CGI with a lot of practical effects too, and it proves that there's really no limit to Spidey and Goblin's fights. There are only 3.5 confrontations between the two, and the first is a great Times Square festival setting, and there really isn't a lot of action here because it is the first time they meet, so the main focus is really on the setting and Spider-Man's willingness to save others while his life is also in danger. The second confrontation is by far my favorite, because it's in a burning building and it works really well with Goblin's character. Goblin catches Spidey off guard by disguising himself as the helpless citizen, and afterwards, Norman realizes that Peter is Spider-Man, and so he goes after his loved ones. But before that, there is this little half confrontation. That's where Norman gives this little monologue, which I've memorized in detail, about how they should team up. Spider-Man turns him down to the prom, of course, and the final battle starts off at this famous bridge, which I forget the name of, and then ends in this abandoned warehouse, and the struggle is real. It shows that they're pretty much a fair match. The climax of the battle, it shows that you don't always need a lot of fancy tricks and flips and gimmicks, just good storytelling, development, and execution. I feel like I'm fangirling again, but I do like all the action. I feel like this is getting a little long-winded, so I'll try to sum up the scenery as best as I can. Basically, all of it is really well done. The only scene that I don't think lived up to its potential was when the Green Goblin first kills the other military contract people or whatever's. It wasn't bad scenery per se, I just felt like it was a little dull. But they definitely make up for it with beautiful scenes of New York at both night and day. The festival scene was done superbly, but my absolute favorite scene is the burning building fight. If I remember correctly, I think they used real fire for that, not just CGI. I could be wrong though, I'll have to look at the animation team's commentary. Okay, finally time for a verdict. The 2002 Spider-Man movie gets a... drum roll, please.
Sorry, we don't have that.
No drum roll?
Nope.
We don't have the budget for that?
Not at all.
Oh, okay. Oh well. So, Spider-Man gets a imaginary drum roll. Just imagine one in your head for a little bit. 9.2 out of 10. Whew! So much build-up. The suspense was killing me, sorry. Anyway, the only iffy things about it were there was a slight lacking of genuine action, but that was mostly due to having to tell an origin story. Peter magically building the suit kind of off, not immediately trying to tell Harry what happened to his father set me off, and some of the CGI is a little bit cheesy. But the rest is golden, definitely makes up for it, and the movie certainly seems to have a nice charm to it. It's probably one of my favorite superhero movies in general. Not to mention, it kicked off Marvel's serious involvement in the film industry, and it also kicked off the superhero genre in the film industry. So it deserves some mad respect. Right, that's it for this video, guys. If you liked, let me I've gotta stop with these memes. Anyway, let me know if you liked it by giving a thumbs up, commenting, or subscribing. Or why not do a combination of the three? Also, let me know down below if you would have rated it higher, lower, or even about the same. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed, and Kenniron out. Yo, why y'all do Michael Jackson dirty like that, man? Oh
Hey,
my
you should
goodness.
use that picture in it.
What? No, I'm not gonna use it in the video. I'm gonna find a better picture, one that more respectably depicts Michael Jackson.